Hello, we're carrying on with our work on area today. So we've just got 3 questions to do without a calculator to start with. So remember, if you know what you're doing, pause it, do the starter questions, check your answers, and then watch the rest. So, first one, 4.3 times 200. Remember, if we're multiplying by 200, that's the same as multiplying by 2 and multiplying by 100. Okay, so we might be able to do 4.3 times 2 in our heads because we're just doubling 4.3. So we'll get 8.6 and then times that by 100. So remember, you move your digits 2 places to the left. So 1 place to the left would make it 86. So 2 places to the left makes it 860. The next one, 1.2 times 4,000. So if you're multiplying by 4,000, remember that's the same as multiplying by 4 and multiplying by 1,000. So 1.2 times 4, you can do it as a quick chimney sum, or you can do it in your head, doesn't matter. So we get 4.8 times 1,000. Okay, so moving 3 places then, moving 1 place would be 48, 2 places would be 480, so 3 places is 4,800. And then the last of our starters, 35 divided by 500, that means divided by 5 and divided by 100. So 35 divided by 5, we know is 7. So we're doing 7 divided by 100. So 7, if we divide by 10, we're moving 1 place. Remember, the decimal point in 7 is straight after it. So 1 place, the 7 would be after the point, and 2 places, you're going to need a 0 in there. So it's 0.07. Okay, so looking at where we're at. Monday we looked at areas of L shapes, yesterday areas of C and T shapes, and today we're going on to areas of shapes with sloping sides. So to be able to do that, we're first going to need to recap on our work on area of a triangle. And I'm just going to change the background here so it's a bit clearer. Right, that's better, I think. So remember, area of a triangle is a half base times height. So if we're looking at our first triangle here, remember, if we're going to use a formula, we always write it down. So then we put our numbers in. So we've got a half times, the base is 10 and the height is 7. Although, as long as the base and the height are at right angles to each other, it doesn't matter which one's the base and which one's the height. Okay, so remember, we've got different ways of doing this. We can do a half of 10 and times it by 7, or a half of 7 and times it by 10, or we can do 10 times 7 and half it. Doesn't matter one little bit which way we do it. So let's do a half of 10 is 5, times 7 is 35. And remember, you've always got to have your square units if it's area. Okay, and the next one. We've got a triangle here with the base marked as 20. So we're going to write down our formula. Oops. So it's a half of 20, but we need to decide which is the height. Is it 8 or is it 6? And remember, your height has to make a right angle with the base. So it's the 6 that's the height. Okay? So half of 20 is 10. Times 6 is 60, and again we've got square centimetres. Okay, so using those and our rectangles formulas, we can use them to find the area of a shape with sloping sides. So how do you think we might find the area of this? This is actually called a trapezium. It's a quadrilateral because it's got 4 sides and 2 of the sides are parallel. So let's have a think. Before, when we've been doing our C shapes or T shapes or L shapes, we've been splitting into different rectangles, haven't we? Or working out a big rectangle, take away a small one. And here, what we're going to do is cut off there, making a right angle there, and we can see that we've got a rectangle here and a triangle here. So if we add them together, we're going to get the total area. So what to do is, so shape 1 is a rectangle, so A equals L times B. Now, the length and breadth of that rectangle, we need to know that length there. Now remember, that's not 20, because the 20 is all the way along. Okay, so the length of the rectangle is 12 and the breadth is 10. So that's 120. And then shape 2 is a triangle, so it'll be a half base times height. The base of the triangle with this line here. So if that's 20 all the way along and that bit of it's 12, that must mean that that one's 8 centimetres. And the height of our triangle, this bit here, same as there, so it's 10. Okay, so we've got half of 8 is 4 times 10 is 40, so the total area is 120, add 40, which is 160 square centimetres. Okay, so it's like the others, but we're not using rectangles all the time. We've got triangles in here too. So we're going to just practice with these 3 shapes, and then you can do some on your own. Okay, so this one, we're going to chop off the triangle just like in the last example, and we're going to make sure that that line makes a right angle there. So again, we're splitting into 2 shapes. One's a rectangle, one's a triangle. So shape 1 is a rectangle, so it's L times B. So the length and breadth of our rectangle, so we need to know the length of that side and that side. So we've got 6 by 7, haven't we? 6 7s are 42. And then the triangle, so it's a half base times height. And it doesn't matter which way round we look at this triangle, but let's imagine that we're tipping this triangle on its side. So this would be the base and this would be the height. So we know that the height's 6 centimetres and the base, well, this whole bit all the way along here is 10. That bit of it's 7, so this must be 3. So the numbers that we're using are 3 and 6 for the base times height. Okay, so this time let's do 3 times 6 is 18, and half that, which is 9. So the total area, is 42, add 9, which is 51 square centimetres. Okay, I'll get the hang of these. Right, next one. Have a look at the shape, see what you can make of it. Now, usually when you're doing these shapes, you can split it into unhelpful shapes as well. So for example, if I decided to split there, this and this might be equal, but neither of them is a shape for which we know an area formula. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Whereas if we split here, we're making a rectangle and a triangle as usual. So let's call that 1 and that 2. So the first one is a rectangle, so it's length times breadth. And we're going to say the length is 5 and the breadth is 8. Okay, so that's 40. And then the triangle, well, if we imagine tipping this on its side so that the triangle's that way up, then the base there, that's 8 centimetres. and the height of the triangle, we can't see straight away, but if we have a look, we can see that all the way along there, that's 12 centimetres, and we know that that bit of it is 5 centimetres. So that must make that bit 7 centimetres. Okay, so when we do our area of a triangle, half base times height, you get a half times the base is 8 and the height is 7. So a half of 8 is 4 times 7 is 28. So the total area is 40 and 28, which is 68, and we're working in metres this time, so the area is square metres. Okay, so last question for today. I'm going to do the same as we've been doing. Have a look at our shape, drop it into some that makes sense. So first shape is a rectangle, so we can say A is L times B. So the length of our rectangle is 100 and the breadth is 120. So 100 times 120 or 120 times 100, we're moving 122 digits to the left, which means we need an extra 2 zeros. And then shape 2 is a triangle, so we know we need a half base times height. So the base of our triangle is 100, it's the same as that. And the height of our triangle, well, we can see that all the way down there is 150. That bit of it is 120, so this bit of it must be 30. Okay, so I would do this time, a half of 30 is 15, times 100 is 1,500. So altogether is 12,000, add 1,500, so that's 13,500 square metres again. Okay, so remember, each time you've got one of these composite shapes that's made up of more than one shape stuck together, remember you work out each one separately, use your formulas separately, and make it very, very clear what you've done. Show all your work in. Okay, well done. I'll see you tomorrow.